Hi Declan, I hope you are able to view and listen to this presentation. So this is my first slide on the presentation, just student details and course details. So presentation title, um, a program for a team or an individual athlete for over a 6 week period. So here is our table of contents of what we'll be discussing throughout the presentation. And then, so our introduction. So we'll be looking at specific sports demands, performance-related goals, the design of a program and implementation of it, and how we're going to periodize it. We'll be looking at progressions, uh, exercises, selections, um, advanced techniques, comparing various conditioning methods, and discussion of nutrition and injury prevention. We discussed all of these throughout the written assignment as well. So our athlete background, or sorry, our overall background to this assignment as well. So it'll be a tailored plan. Our athlete is male, 23 years of age, born in the Ivory Coast or Coast of the Ivory. Um, so we'll be looking at the following as well in our background. So the athlete's height is 173 centimeters, which is around 5'8". I think in feet and inches. Athlete's weight is 72 kg. This can fluctuate. Um, and as mentioned in the written assignment, the athlete is a practicing Muslim, so any plan, if this plan was done around the time of Ramadan, the plan would obviously have to be tailored around due to matches and training and due to long fasting periods. So we're looking at SMART goals for athletes. So any plan that we have has to be SMART, realistically, okay? So it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So reason being for this is that if we don't set like kind of a principle like this, it can get lost for the athlete and they're not maybe focused. So periodization then. There are two types, so traditional versus blocked. So the traditional method was usually um, kind of sequencing in a logical order to meet the demands of sport, where blocked then would have two subtypes, where it's more so for an individual sport. Um, Periodization then, again, so we have different types then. So you have um, macro periods, you have phases, mesocycles, and microcycles. So macrocycles then. So, for example, it could be a whole entire year or over uh, 6 weeks maybe. So the periods, then there's three different periods. So they're your preparatory, competition phase, and recovery. Um, I'll be explaining about these soon enough. So the phases then, these are all divided into different periods throughout a season or summer, for example. So looking at periodization again, so mesocycles would be maybe 4 to 6 weeks in duration. Uh, then you have microcycles. These can be broken up into certain weeks. So structure of our training. So we have to be able to identify peaks, and what I mean by peaks is like different stages of the season. Which weeks would we maybe have only one game a week? Which weeks we might have two games a week? So the weeks that we'd have two games a week, our training for on the pitch and gym related would have to be adapted. So I have a little photo here. Practice makes progress. Totally true. Um, so the stuff we look at in progression would be like the likes of overall to enhance the athletic performance, um, but also to cover muscular strength, your power, speed, to increase muscle size, which is your hypertrophy, but also to maintain balance and coordination. Staying on progression. So main thing, stay on the goal. Um, also to make sure overall full levels of fitness are maintained. So moving on then. So exercise selection based on sports demands. So we'd have resistance training, which would be like your free weights, machines, bands. It could be TRX bands as well. So working on multiple muscle groups usually. So as I said earlier, another thing that we'd be working on for this would be your small side game. So like you would look at 3v3s, 4v4s, 5v5s. Plyometrics then you're talking about your CMJ, and I'll discuss more soon when we come on to plyometrics. So our velocity based training. So accelerometer is the name of the software that is used. It brings back very quick feedback and is able to track all the various movement of speed. So the exercise example of this would be our back squat. So cluster sets then. Cluster sets work really well within 1 to 5 reps of a set. The rest periods for cluster sets, because they're done very quickly, is between 15 to 30 seconds. So the idea is for the athlete to be able to produce a high volume load. Okay, so resistance training, as we mentioned already, working on multiple muscle groups, hugely used for building endurance, strength, and as we mentioned already, stuff that we can use for resistance training: barbells, bands, kettlebells, dumbbells can be used. So often you would do between 12 and 15 reps and maybe 2 to 3 sets. Plyometric training then. A lot of these exercises are to do with explosive power, intensity bursts, which are short, so you'll be working on your fast twitch muscle fibers, which can be A or B. And then metabolic conditioning training. So this type of training helps the amount of energy stored within the body. It helps the body's capacity to adapt to various exercise. So then justifying all our training variables. So it's like with any training, it has to have a specificity, it has to have variation, so like that we're not constantly doing the same thing, and there has to be recovery put in place as well for athletes. So when I say recovery, you're talking maybe using compression boots, going into sauna, steam room. So nutrition then. So the meal prep must be done, as I mentioned. So carbohydrates are a great way to have meals, such as for training or for matches, and then high protein meals are vital for recovery of gym sessions and also matches as well. So injury prevention then. So these require short-term, medium-term, and long-term planning. So injury prevention then. So we need to look at why the athlete may be injured. It could be overtraining. It could be that the plan is wrong. So my athlete, then in terms of injuries, they've had knee injuries and ankle injuries. So these were mainly ligament damage injuries in both the knee and ankle. So the rationale then, we're looking at preparatory, competition, and recovery. So we will look at, so the preparatory mode of exercises would be your strength, plyometrics, speed, agility, and metabolic conditioning. Same for competition, and the same for recovery. So this is kind of like maybe a plan that we would do for over the 6 weeks. So putting it all together, so we would say, like, for example, preparatory period, in the season to start pre-season. So like the 2 and 3 mesocycles would be working on everything that we can see there in terms of flexibility, strength, plyometrics, etc. So competition period then. So you'd have one game day before the game, uh, one game week before the game, working on say speed, agility, and then the day of the game will be kind of a conditioning workout in the morning if you have time. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the day after a game, recovery day, so sauna, pool, steam room, your compression boots if they're available. So here is our bibliography.